Hello, everybody. It's been a minute since the last RWBY tier list. Had the chance to record, so I decided this is the one that I'm going to go with. We are doing the weapons tier list today. I recently did a poll over on Twitter of sort of a top 16 favorites, more or less a top 16, and Crescent Rose ended up being the winner, which is a huge shocker. But let's go through an actual rundown of what I think of all the weapons, shall we? Starting with RWBY, that is Crescent Rose. I'm gonna go with A tier because it is among my favorites. It's a very cool weapon, and it's the first one that you get introduced to whenever you're getting into the series. Whether you're watching the trailer or you're just jumping into the series, Crescent Rose is the first one you get that much exposure to. Very cool weapon. Mirror Aster, also a good weapon. A revolver and a rapier is good. Gamble Shroud. Yeah, B. Why is there a G tier? I'm just now realizing there's a G tier. We do not need a G tier. F tier is the lowest it needs to go. Anyway. I like Gamble Shroud. It's just something about it confuses me. So it's a sword, and you take the sheath off, and now the sheath is still a sword, but then this is a katana, and then it's also a gun, and then it's also a grappling hook, and all of those elements make sense when I spell it out like that. But something doesn't click. I cannot explain it. I go spinning beach ball of death when I think about Gamble Shroud. Oh, I don't think about it too much. I just watch the pretty cat girl do her thing. So, it's a good weapon. It just kind of confuses me. Ember Celica / the prosthetic. Well, I think Ben 10 should take some notes from RWBY on how to make punching an interesting superpower. Because Ben 10 has never made it interesting, even though they're two most used aliens that is literally their only power, and it's incredibly boring. As opposed to Yang, who is a really good character, and punches people with bullets. And uses the recoil of those punches to bounce off of surfaces, like when she had a landing in Volume 7. I don't know how you made punching an interesting superpower, but you did, and I like that. As an added bonus, I would say that Bumblebee counts as a weapon, and it would go in S tier for absolutely wrecking Adam. Absolutely. Croaky Amores. Oh, I'm about to get a little bit of flag for what I'm about to do. I can feel it. Okay. Here's the thing about why Croaky Amores is an S tier. It's less about what it is in practice and more about what it means for Jean's character. Because in practice, it's kind of just a sword and shield. And then it has the ability to extend the shield to make the sword bigger while still sheathed. Then it has the gravity deflection dust and the hard light extension, which, I mean, those for me are the two coolest dust types. I love that that's the dust types that he got. He got, after volumes of never using dust, when he finally uses dust, he uses the two coolest forms of it. Beyond just the two coolest dust types, it's also very symbolic of Jean's character. Because if you notice, he never upgrades the sword. Every upgrade is for the shield. Every single upgrade has been for the shield. The sword never got augmented until Cinder broke it. But it's thematic for Jean's character being a protector. That is the whole thing. He's a knight. Knights protect people. That's something that he always was trying to do and always felt like he was failing at. He wasn't able to protect Pyrrha, because Pyrrha pushed him away to prevent him from getting hurt. And that resulted in her death, and he's felt guilt over that. He wasn't able to protect or save Penny. He had to kill Penny. Oh. Even the one time that he's upgraded the shield to be able to extend the sword, that's still an upgrade to the shield, not the sword. Oh. It all ties into his theme. Now, I do think there should be a moment where he puts the shield back on the sword and then extends it and then uses the hard light extensions, and now he has sort of a lightsaber of sorts. I just think that would be... I think that would be fun. Just saying. Also, additionally, going into his theme is that he never fixed that sword in all of his, like, 15, 20 years alone in the Ever After. He was fighting off threats like the Jabberwocker or the goose that was listed in the, calamities that befall the Paper Pleasers village. He was fighting a goose with a broken sword, which that's just a very funny visual. It's thematic. It's very thematic, and that's why it's up in S tier. Less about what it is and more about what it means. Ozpin, and this one's gonna count for Oscar as well because they have the same weapon. That's the long memory. I'm gonna go with B tier because when it comes to Kane weapons, we've got two better ones. But the kinetic energy thing is cool. So it's B. Harbinger. I don't like Harbinger as much as Crescent Rose. It's just not as cool of a weapon. It's a scythe and a gun, just like Crescent Rose, and it's also a sword. It's just... I don't think it's as cool. I don't think it looks as cool. I don't think it operates as cool. I'm not as much of a fan of it. So Cinder's a weird one. Cinder has that bow and arrow called Midnight, but she hardly ever uses it anymore. So I'm gonna have to put it in D tier just because of we haven't seen it in a while. I mean, we saw it in Volume 8, but and while that is technically the season before the last one, that was 3 years ago. That was 3 years ago. As Volume 8 started about 3 years ago. I think... Did it start November 7th? Or was it late October? Ah, I should have waited until tomorrow. If it was... assuming it was November 7th. I don't remember when episodes were released. The only release date I remember anymore is one of the Justice League crossover comic runs, because the first crossover run had a release on my birthday. It was very fun. Anyway, Volume 8 was 3 years ago for us. That's the last time that we saw Cinder use Midnight. So it feels like it's been a while. Melodic Cudgel. I said we had better Kane weapons. That's one of them. It looks cool. It's got a grappling hook. It's got a flare gun on it. It's fun. I like it. Hush. Hush is a fun idea. I'm going to put it into B tier, as I do really like it. I like that it's a umbrella, of all things. It's a interesting choice for a weapon for it to be an umbrella. An umbrella with 2 hidden blades at that. Now, it's actually a bit higher than it would be because of Roman Holiday, where I know that Roman is the reason that she has that weapon. So, Thief's Respite. I'm gonna go with C tier. It's kind of mid. It works, I'm not that attached to it. Talaria, I'm gonna put up here in A tier. So, something that I noticed, man, like 2 years ago, I think, is Talaria is a kind of remodeled and recolored Ember Celica. It's remodeled to be able to fit Mercury's legs, and then it's colored black and given the wind dust instead of fire dust. It's all meant to play into how Yang and Mercury are counters of each other. And noticing that whenever I was doing the project of editing Ben 10 Omniverse character models to look like RWBY characters, and I was doing Mercury's, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've drawn that before. That's Ember Celica. Or did I? I don't remember if I did Yang before or after, because I did Yang, but then I had to redo Yang because it didn't look good. And then the second Yang looked better, but I don't remember if that was before or after Mercury. Maybe I just did it and I'm like, that looks familiar. And then it clicked. So Tyrion has the Queen's Servants, I believe they're called. So they're like these wrist-mounted guns that also have a curved blade on either side. Now let's go into B tier because it's a fun idea, but it's more so about how he uses it, and how every single time that he uses them, he gets into a crouching pose and his tail comes up, so he looks like even more like a scorpion. I love it. I love Tyrion's fighting stance, and I love that his fighting style is just breakdancing. No wonder he's got this interest in Mercury, because Mercury also has a breakdancing fighting style. What? Alright. Okay. Okay. So Watts has the rings that allow him to control Atlas technology. And he has his, like, 20 bullet revolver. 20 bullet revolver is kind of just... Oh, damn. Knocking stuff over. The revolver is just kind of a revolver. I mean, it has 20 bullets, but the bullets don't do anything special. They're kind of just bullets. But it looks cool. And the rings not only allow him to control everything, but they also create little hard light shields, which is fun. But we have to consider RWBY Justice League Part 2. In Part 2, Watts, when he comes over to the DC world, his body is made into this mech suit thing that's bulkier than he is normally. It's got these 2 extra arms that allow him to fire off. He now has 2 of his revolvers. It gives him control over the Grim that he's created in the DC world. And I think that actually puts him a little bit higher than I would have said otherwise. I'm gonna go with A. I'm gonna go with A. Because the mech suit is so cool. And the rings are cool. It's really just the revolver that's mid. Floating Array is one of my favorites. I love float. Oh, wow, that's The S in S tier stands for slaughter. I love the way that Floating Array looks. The way that Penny moves around whenever she uses it. The spinny energy blasts metal on me, Penny, because the bitch got a green beam through your whole team. Salutations. I'm so upset I made that reference. Anyway, I like it. I like it. And the tie-in to Pinocchio because of strings. Why did I reference Mom Watches RWBY with the Boys? I'm going to be thinking about that the rest of this video, damn it. Let's just talk about my favorite character. Winter, I'm sorry, it's mid. I love you. You are my favorite character. I am the certified #1 Winter Schnee fan. As per Twitter polls and surveys, I am the #1 Winter Schnee fan. But she's got a mid weapon. It's a sword that has another sword inside it, and that's cool until you realize they're just swords. And they don't even have, like, a thematic thing going on like with Sean's. So Milo and Akuo, I think, is the way you say that Pierrot's weapon. I've never been confident in that pronunciation. Milo and Akuo, I think B tier, because the spear sniper is cool. It's not even just a spear, it's also a javelin. Those are 2 different things, and she uses it as both. And then the shield's just a shield. Oh. 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 Pyrrha has just a shield, and then the actual weapon has the upgrades. Jean has just a sword, but then the protective element is just upgrade. Oh. I love Arcos. Too bad Pyrrha's protection couldn't protect her. Magna Healed. B tier. B tier? A tier. I'm gonna make it A tier. It's Mjolnir if it was a grenade launcher. Which, if you don't think that's cool, that's a you problem. If you don't think that Mjolnir with a grenade launcher is cool, that's on you. That is on you. And she can fly around on it. She can use the grenades as propulsion. Stormflower, mid. It's in the same realm as Thief's Respite. Okay, Due Process. So, I'm going with C tier because, like, Due Process, the name really fits for Ironwood, and the fact that it's a black gun and a white gun because of the black and white mentality. It's very thematic for Ironwood. I just don't really care as much as I do Jean's. So, while it is thematic and fitting, I just like what they've done with the Jean theme more. Wilt and Blush. I'm gonna go B. Because I like the idea of a sheath that's like a shotgun that will shoot the sword's butt end out. And it really plays well with Adam's fighting style. Adam has one of the best fighting styles in the show, and I feel like no matter what you feel about the character, that's something that should be acknowledged, is that he has a really good fighting style. His fighting style is mainly to not fight until he needs to fight. Most of his tactics are evasion or letting the weapon take the hit for him so that he can build up his semblance and then attack. And it's always choreographed well. They always choreograph Adam fights really well. So, he makes it work. It's just not that high because it really doesn't have the main element that it does without his semblance. So, it works best with a semblance. With his semblance, I should say. Now, I forget what Sienna's is called, but I do remember what it is, and I'm gonna go with mid because we haven't seen it. I mean, we saw it in the Adam short, but not enough. So it's like, it's the chain, and it has these 3 blades on it that are each powered by a different form of dust. But we don't see enough for me to make a proper judgment beyond it exists. Oscar already said Ozpin is going to handle that, so already covered. Ilya, Lightning Lash is mid. It's like, I get it. It works. But it doesn't excite me all that much. I think that's Banesaw, and Banesaw just has a chainsaw. I'm actually going to go for D because it's C is where it's mid, but I at least understand the appeal. D, Midnight I do get the appeal, it's just that we haven't seen it enough so that I don't really care right now. This is just a chainsaw. That is just a chainsaw. You know what? No. I'm going even further. It's just a chainsaw. It goes into F because it doesn't do anything. It's just a chainsaw. RWBY Bang and Jingu Bang. Sun Wukong's weapon. Based on Sun Wukong's weapon, RWBY Jingu Bang. Do you like that? B or A? I'm gonna go B. I'm not as attached to it, but I do understand the love of the gunchucks. And he fights really well with it, and the bow staff form is also cool. So, yeah. Kali obviously has an S tier weapon with that food tray. It worked. I'm gonna keep her on the list, but I'm gonna put her in E tier. Because it is just a food tray, so it really should go in F if I'm gonna count it. But it's funny, so it goes into E. Oh. Now, Corsac and Fennec, they kind of have just the same weapon, but one is fire and one is wind. And I'm gonna go with them being in D tier to where I don't really care. There are little stabby things that happen to have elemental powers, and that's about it. Omen! Omen! Raven really saw one of those little clicky pens that lets you change the color ink and decided, I'm gonna make that a sword. It's also the only instance of us seeing plant dust and water dust used. Granted, they're for split seconds and only really for the sake of showing off multicolors. And also, it's, you know, a little weird to have someone who's already elementally powered to be using an elemental weapon. But, you know, she made the weapon before she was the maiden, so yeah. And also, she isn't going to always be using her maiden powers, so she's got to have, like, an alternative, I suppose. But I think elemental stuff is cool. I think something that can swap out elements on a whim is just really, really, really cool. Vernal, I don't really care. It looked kind of cool, but Maria, S tier. I'm just gonna say, Life and Death is a cooler scythe than Crescent Rose. For one, it's two sides, or at least it used to be two sides. Now it's just a cane, and again, it's the cooler cane weapon too. But it's two scythes that are able to work in tandem via gravity dust. And then combine together into a double-bladed staff. I'm sorry, that clears. That is so much cooler than Crescent Rose. It's gotta be said. Sorry. Okay. Robin has the wrist-mounted crossbows, and I'm gonna put that in C tier, where I understand the appeal, but Harriet has fast knuckles. I don't care. I really don't care. I just don't care about them. Clover has Kingfisher, I think it's called. I'm gonna go in F tier. Do I do F tier? No, I'm gonna go D. I'm gonna go D tier. It is just a fishing rod, but I think that that's fun as a weapon. I just wish that there was more to it than, oh, it's a fishing rod. Thorn. E? We see it once, ever. And now it's blown up with the rest of it. Fetch, S tier. That's such a cool weapon. It's a chainsaw gun boomerang. Everything about that is cool. Everything about that is cool. And it ties into the dog thing because it comes back to him. They're like, oh no, fetch the ball. That's why it's called fetch. Timber. See, I get the appeal, I just don't really care that much. It's a hammer with a rocket launcher, which you think would be a step up from Magnahild. But Elm can't fly on it. In fact, Elm tries to be sure that she doesn't fly. That's why she roots herself to the ground before she uses it. All the Happy Huntresses have this, like, double-sided staff crossbow thing. And I'm gonna put that into C tier for all three of them. I really wish they each had their own individual weapons. I understand why they all have the same one. I just wish that... I wish for variety. I just really wish that there was some variety there. And there really just isn't. Cordovan has the Colossal, and the Giant Mech is always going to be cool, so A tier. Amber, I think, just has a staff, and we don't get to see much of it. I'm going to go with F tier. Neptune has Tryhard, which I like. I'm going to put him right there next to his boyfriend. Or who should be his boyfriend, at least. It's cool. I like tridents. I've said it. Aquaman. I love Aquaman. It is just... I want to see more of it. I like it enough to put it in B tier, but I want to see more. Glinda with the riding crop. I'm kidding. C tier. It's mid. She doesn't even need it. She could just put her hand out. She's being extra. She doesn't need the riding crop. Antiquities Roast is an A tier, teetering on S. No, I'm going for S. I'm going for the full S, because it's so ridiculous. This dude's coffee is powered by kerosene. Absolutely. Blowhard. I don't really... Weiss is right. How are you supposed to use it? The blades are in the way of the trigger. Stalwart. Dude, Stalwart is such a cool weapon. This weird wrist-mounted spinny thing. You spin it and you can combine different dust types and different attacks. It looks like an art easel, which ties Leo into Da Vinci. But they gave it to Leo! I'm convinced the only reason Leo is in the Tea Party episode is so they could use Stalwart again. They're like, this is a cool weapon, but we wasted it on this character. We have one more chance to use it. Let's do it. So I have to put Sundered Rose in C tier, because literally all we have is what it looks like. It also has the same issue of Blowhard. The blade is in the way of the trigger. Oh, I would need to see a summer scene where she actually uses the weapon before I can give a better judgment than mid. Velvet. Velvet has my favorite weapon of the entire show. In fact, I said above. Oh no, I did click below. Never mind. Edit that out. Favorite weapon. Why just have one weapon when you can have them all? That's why I like the Omnitrix. Why have all powers when you can have them all? Coco. Janduya is a fun weapon. Handbag minigun. Also, you imagine if this show would properly give a lot of the characters the muscle definition that they deserve, how much muscle mass Coco probably really should have to be able to fling that thing around? Sharp Retribution, mid. I get it, but it's just not that exciting. And then Fulcrum is just a sword. Now, that does have story relevance in the novels, but... I don't know if... Yeah, these... I think all of Team Cardin have confirmed weapons, but I don't remember what any of them are except for Cardin's. And I don't care to look them up. It's Team Cardinal. Their team name doesn't even look like it says Cardinal. It looks like it says Curdle as in curdled milk. I'm not looking into Team Curdled Milk's weapons just for this tier list. Cardin has the Executioner. It's D tier. It's not that great. But not enough for me to say F because I think it has dust. It also kind of looks cool. Oh, Flint's Trumpet is an S tier because it's a really fun idea. A trumpet with elemental powers, plus he has his semblance to pair up with it. All Echo style. Yeah. S tier. Neon's Nunchucks, C tier. I like them, but there are better weapons. Yeah, I'll put it in B. Give it the benefit of the doubt. Junior has a Bazooka Club. I'm gonna put it in C. It's okay. Alright, the Malachite twins. Melanie has, like, Wolverine gauntlet things, which are fun. I'll put that in B. And then Milsha has bladed heels, which I think are a little cooler. And also I put her in the same tier as the Kiki dude. Now, Talk kind of just has just a scimitar, isn't it? Yeah. It's kind of just a scimitar. E. E. F. It's just a scimitar. Speaking of scimitar, Scarlet, but he has Hook and Darling. Darling is the scimitar, Hook is the gun because it has a grappling hook attached. It also, well, I mean, Tox is also thematic. Both of them are Peter Pan inspired, so both of them are pirate themed. Both of them have pirate scimitars. It makes sense. But I like Hook and Darling a little bit more, but also not a whole lot. Sage just has a sword. Pilgrim is just a sword. Ursulin has that weird, like, string thing? Like a bladed string, I think, and I don't really care that much about it. D tier. Bolin, I think, has a staff. E tier. Benefit of the doubt that I'm not remembering it that well. Reese. S tier. Her hoverboard is so cool. Also, I know that I was about to put Neon into C tier, but I am the co-CEO of Travel Buddies, which is Reese and Neon. It is a ship that has infected my brain. I love the Skater Girl ship so much. But anyway, her hoverboard is so cool. It's a hoverboard, but then she can inject it with different dust types to let it do different things. Like, she and Neon even have a little Travel Buddies attack together in Volume 3, where they freeze the Paladin together because of the ice dust. It's so cool. Get it? Get it? Cool? Because ice puns are cool. And then it comes apart and she can use them as gauntlets like Ember Celica. I love it. I love it. Nadir just has a sniper, I think. So, yeah. Bronze? Look, I don't know what's going on with Bronze. Not a lot's going on with Bronze, he's dead. But his weapon is weird because it's like Wolverine claws over here, but then there's a blade back here, so if he does like that, he's gonna stab his own arm. F, because it's poorly designed. Roy has these wrist-mounted saw blades, which are decent. Nolan has a cattle prod that's kind of just a cattle prod, and May has a sniper that's kind of just a sniper. Oh, do I remember all of Indigo's weapons? Nebula has a sword crossbow. That's decent, I think. I think that's decent. Dew has a staff of sorts. I'm gonna do a quick zoom out. Yeah, that gives us more room to view stuff. Oh, it doesn't give us supplemental characters. Oh no, I'm gonna have to remember those on my own. Oh no. Dew has a staff with wind dust, E tier. Gwen has throwing knives that are explosive. I'll go with D tier, because it's a cool idea. I would just need to see more of it. And Octavia has like a fire blade? Eh. And Dia Dudley have like shotgun maces or something. The fact that I don't even remember enough to care. Ooh. Care enough to remember. I couldn't even word it correctly because I don't care. Shay has a gun with a blade on the butt of it. He doesn't have the biggest amount of creativity, I suppose. The captain has a ship with cannons. Captain knows what's up. Alright. Now, a little bit of a point of contention. Do the relics count as weapons? In my mind, yes, the relics count as weapons. You might not think that, and that's fair. I understand the counter-arguments, but I consider them to be weapons. So, I'm going to say both of them are up there because they are incredibly powerful, and I also just really like the mechanic of how the weapons work. Rhodes, his weapons are kind of boring, so, yeah. Alex just has a dagger. The prince doesn't have his own weapon. The prince doesn't have his own weapon, but his guards do, and they're like trumpet axes, which is decent. The blacksmith has a hammer. The issue with trying to say that the blacksmith counts as having a weapon is that the blacksmith kind of only appears as a blacksmith to RWBY. Think about the fact that the blacksmith has those wooden carvings. This means that she is the lively carpenter from the story. So, Lewis probably saw her as a carpenter, rather than as the blacksmith that we see in the actual Volume 9. Because the blacksmith is trying to appeal to RWBY. RWBY has always had this sense of weapons having an importance and a tie to your identity. If you go back to my reaction to the Volume 9 finale, whenever she's coming out of the tree and coming out of Ascension, choosing to be herself, and she grabs the weapon, I said, they're a part of us. I was calling back to the thing that I'm talking about right now, where RWBY sees the weapons as being a part of the people's identity. And that even ties into, like, practicality. Weapons in RWBY are able to be amplified by your aura. You literally can tie them to your soul. So, just that's why the blacksmith shows up as someone that's associated with weapons, to try to appeal to RWBY's ideology. It's a lot like the Consumelia in Ben 10. The Consumelia appear as whatever your heart... It's something like whatever your heart yearns for the most or something, and so like, or what just means a lot to you. So like Maltruant is very egotistical, so he sees just himself. Rook sees his father. The writers decide that making jokes that aren't funny is more important than having good writing, so Ben sees a bunch of smoothies instead of, Max for some damn reason. Anyway. I can't really count the blacksmith, is my point. She's only like that for RWBY's sake. And I don't remember what Ivory or Cobalt's weapons are. And nobody else really has weapons to speak of, I would say. So, yeah. Yeah. There's the tier list. I can't imagine what's going to be said about me the very, very quick putting Jean's weapon above all of Team RWBY, but I suppose we'll see what response that garners. But anyway, tell me, what is your favorite weapon, and also your least favorite weapon from this series? Let's get some conversation going. Maybe we should. I should look into what other tier lists I should make for RWBY. I really don't know what else I'm gonna do. I've done at this point. I've done the main 3 RWBY ones I was gonna do: character, semblance, and now weapon. So I don't know. I don't know what other RWBY tier list I should do, if I'm going to do another one soon. At all. I don't know. So, we'll see when the time comes, I suppose. But, anyway. Do all of that YouTube algorithm stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Most of you are not subscribed. But if you like RWBY content, I'm making RWBY content. Even during the off-season, during the hiatus, hashtag Greenlight Volume 10. I'm going to keep going. Even if it's not consistent, even if it's few and far between, I'm still going to do it. One way or another. So, till next time, I will see you when I see you.